Hey everyone, so I'm going to go over the lesson 87 and 88 wrap-up Google form because this will help you study for your quiz that's going to happen this week. So the first question says, describe how a controlled experiment can be created to examine the effect of ingredient X in toothpaste. So the first thing I would do is I would randomly select about 100 people for the experiment. I'm doing this because if you remember, we want a large sample size and we want enough people in each group. So if I split this in half, I'll get 50 in each group, which is a pretty good sample size for each group. Then I would randomly assign. Now, most of you had this missing when you were describing this answer. You forgot to state random assignment. Random assignment is key. What you want to do is first randomly select people and then split that group up into two separate groups by random assignment, meaning that you're going to use like a random number generator or something that will allow you to split people up randomly. And you're going to either have them to be putting in the control group or the one with the treatment. So you need a treatment and a control. Control groups are nice. You could also compare two different ingredients to see the differences, but a control group is like your baseline, so that's a good thing to have. What I would then do is I would analyze what I found and see if there was a cause and effect relationship with ingredient X. The next question says, for a class project, a student studies the likelihood that students turn in their homework each day. And for each of her classes, she observes the teacher collect the homework. She records the number of students who turn in the homework and the number who do not. This is clearly an observational study. She is observing whether or not her friends turn in the homework. She's not putting a treatment on them. She's not interfering. She's just observing. Then she sees results from the data. Yeah, that's just results from what she found. It's not results from an experiment. Some of you said this was an experiment. It is not. She's just observing and recording what she saw. And then, is there anything she can do to improve her study? Well, the one thing that I noticed is that she only used her classes, and you probably want to get a good random selection of all the students in the school. Like, if she was an honors student, she might just only be in honors classes, which isn't a really good representation of the whole school, because not everyone takes honors classes. So I would get a larger sample and use random selection to get that sample. This is a key important fact. Number 3, it says, what do you need in a well-designed study to generalize to your population? You need random selection. A lot of you said a big sample size, which is also very good, but random selection is key because when you randomly select people from a population, you're getting a good sample out of that population to study, and it will have good differences in the people because you're using randomness. Some of you did say like you want to have a variety of different people, and that's what random selection does. So it allows you to have those differences naturally in your sample. The next question says, what do you need in a well-designed experiment to make sure your groups are comparable? Now, a lot of you put control group here, and that's good so you can compare the two groups' results. But what I was trying to ask was what makes them comparable, as in like the makeup of the group, like the types of people that are being put in the group. Random assignment does this. What this is allowing us to do is to equally spread out the differences of people into two separate groups. So what we're doing is we're not having like all the boys in one group or all the girls in one group or all the blondes in one group and all the brunettes in one group or whatever. You're trying to mix up those groups of people. So you get a random selection and then randomly mix them up into two groups so that there's equal differences spread apart, equal variability spread apart. What type of study allows for cause and effect? That is only an experiment. Majority of you got that right. And the last one was what you must have in a well-designed experiment. There are two things that you have to have. Random assignment and treatment. If you don't have that, you don't have an experiment. You need treatments so you can analyze a result. And you need to randomly assign your two groups of people so that you have comparable treatment groups. A control group is really good to have because you can have your treatment compared to the control. Remember, this is like your placebo. It's a baseline. It's a good thing to have. It's not necessary, but it's a really good thing to have. So I also say it should really be there. A large sample size is also really good. The more people you have in your study, the more you're like the population. So this is really important as well. And then random selection I did not check off. This is not necessary. It is good to have. So you could possibly check it off, but the most important thing is that you take the people that you have and you randomly assign them to two different groups. Random selection is nice because it allows you to then not only have a cause and effect conclusion of an experiment, but you also have a generalization to the population about your experiment. So I hope that helped with you guys, and I hope you study this for your quiz.